Hello and welcome to the Virtual Business Owners Network on Friday, 22nd of November, where our guest speaker today is Michael Armitage, who will be speaking about exit strategy. So, Michael, take it away from there.
Okay, thanks, Alec. As you probably heard earlier, it's very important that you have an exit plan or an exit strategy, because you can see from the bottom of here what it says. 100% of business owners will exit their business one day. Just a quick intro on me. I'm Michael Armitage. What do? Well, I give businesses a four-letter word. That four-letter word is more, because today what I'm chatting about is getting you more when you exit with more. And why do you have to exit with more? You're going to exit the business one day. Everybody here, every single business owner is going to exit their business one day. So why not get more for it? But in business, you don't exactly start with a very valuable business. What you start with is you're there, you start the business, and what you have is you have three people. You're me, myself, and I, or as I said, I. You've put the resources in, you've put the money in, you've invested in the business. You're me. You're the person who set the strategy, the goals, the plans. So you're the managing executive. And then you're myself. You're myself, the marketer, myself doing the sales, myself doing admin, myself doing the bookkeeping, myself, the general dog's body. So you end up there being myself. And basically, what you're doing there is you're not creating a business in the initial stages. What you're doing is you're creating a job for yourself. There you are, the one-man band. You've got your job. But what you've got to do is you've got to then say, how can I change it from this kind of business that's only going to get me a recruitment fee, a couple of bob for the business, right? Because when you exit a small business, generally you're selling a client list. You're not really selling a business. So you're there, you're myself in the business, and you've got to realize that if the business can't survive without you, you've got nothing to sell. There's no business there. So you've got to plan it to make sure that the business can survive without you. So as a blunt Yorkshireman, what I say is you've got to remove yourself. So you've got to remove myself from the business. So you've got to stop being the sales, stop being the admin, stop being everything else. And how do you do that? Well, what you've got to do is, instead of just sort of a plain word like remove myself, let's change it to a four-letter word. The four-letter word is grow. You've got to grow your business. You've got to make sure that the business is then growing so that you can employ people. But you don't just employ people. What you've got to do is you've got to find people who are going to help you grow your business. You've got to find people who are going to push you, so that it isn't you pulling them all the time, that they're pushing you, so that you can then grow your business. You don't employ people to be a bookkeeper now. You employ them to perhaps be the finance director in 5 years' time. You've got to grow the business and grow the people within it. Because why is changing people every few months to get a better version of something when you can grow people within it? So what you've got to do is remove myself, get people in. So here you are, you've changed from a one-man band. You've now got your full orchestra. You've got the string section, you've got the drums, you've got the trumpets, you've got everything there, all different people doing the things that they're skilled for. So in the business, what you've then got to do is stop creating a job for yourself, because what you're going to do then is you're going to spend the rest of your life working yourself to death in the job. Get above the job. So what you've got to do is work less to earn more, and you've got to create a business, not a job. And that needs an exit plan. The exit plan, as I said before, is you plan to grow. You've got to grow your business. And when you grow your business, what you've got to do then is you've got to say, well, how can I grow? What have I got to do to grow the business? When you get people in, what you have a look at is, I mentioned earlier, is succession plan. You've got to have a successor. And what's the commonality between those? It's the word success. You've got to be a success. You've got to grow your business into that success so that you have a succession plan and a successor. So you can have more sales, more staff. You can have systems to make things a lot easier. But in all of this, so what have you got to do is with the people, you've got to grow. There are various ways you can grow your business, use your results, plan, grow customers, grow sales. But the most important thing in that is the cash flow, have cash and cash flow. But the other important thing you need to have is a business that's got some value. Someone's got to be able to say, this is worth something that I can pay for it. So you've got to have value in your business. So you've got to create a business that's got value. Why value? Because it's what your business is worth. Because a business is worth a profit times a value factor. It isn't just worth the profit on it. And on that, I just want to just read out a newspaper article here that was in the Sunday Business Post a couple of weeks ago. Here's a business that was making 1 million a year profit. How much do you think it sold for?
100.
It sold for 400 million. Okay, which is one hell of a return on the value factor. And what the journalist said in here is, the new owners aren't paying for that type of past performance. They're paying for future expected returns. And you've got to remember that in your business when you do your exit planning, is that people are buying the expected returns. They're not buying your history, because you can't change history. You can just influence the future. But on this as well, so how do you get that value factor up to that kind of level? Because profit is that times the value factor. So if you've only got a value factor of 5 and your profit's 100,000, you'll get 500,000 for the business. But if the value factor's 8, you're then going to get 800,000 for the business. Hell of a difference, because sometimes you might find you can spend 20,000 trying to improve your profit, when if you spent 20,000 improving your value factor, you get a better return on the money. Because a lot of people sometimes focus purely on profit. But you've got to focus on both profit and value in the business. So how do you increase that value? What makes it a higher value? Well, what makes it a higher value is perhaps looking at your sales. Do you have a lot of one-off sales, or do you have continuing sales to customers? Do you have one customer who is very large, that if you lost him, you'd have no business? Do your customers pay on time? Have you got decent cash flow? Do you have loyal staff? Do you have low staff turnover? Is the business efficient and effective? Do you have good systems in place? So all of these factors affect what the value is going to be on your business. And all of that has to be planned from day one. So from day one, you've got to start planning your exit. Because what you've got to say to yourself, I want to exit with more cash. Firstly, I've got to remove myself from the business. Let me grow the business so I can employ staff to do all these other things. Let me create value. Let me have a look at how can I create value in the business. I've got to systemize, productize, optimize the business. So in all of this, you've then got to do all of that to make sure that you're going to exit with more cash. But having said that, selling the business is not the end. Right? All you're doing is selling the future of an ongoing business. After you leave the business, you've got to make sure that the plans are in place to make sure it does continue after you sell it, but it doesn't collapse in a heap. Otherwise, they'll be asking for their money back. The other factor you've got to bring in and remember is that you're not just exiting the business, that the business is exiting you as well. That you have then got to say, well, what am I going to do after I've exited the business? So you've got to have plans, not just for the business, for an exit, but a plan for yourself for the exit, for when you exit the business. So you need 3 exit plans in a business. You need the exit plan to exit as myself, doing everything. You've got to exit the business when you sell it. And you've got to have a plan for when you personally exit the business, what you are going to do with the business. So you need 3 exit plans when you leave the business. And on that as well is in starting from day one, what I always say to people is, this is the business objective. that you should have. Gain sufficient paying profitable repeat clients, achieve targeted business profitability in a positive cash flow environment. But most importantly at all, it says that increases the organization's value each year, because you're going to get paid more money the more value you have in your business. So remember, when you're doing anything in the business, ask yourself the question, does this increase my profitability, but also does it increase the value of my business? Because your objective is to increase the value every day. Increasing value makes your business more valuable, and more valuable means more money that you get, so that you can exit with more cash. So every time you look at things, ask your question about value as well as profit. Okay, thank you.
That it, Michael?
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Just let me stop the recording.